Howdy, it's me, Robert Allen, fit old man. So today I wanted to talk about the difference between right and wrong, right and wrong, knowing what to do, and then choosing not to do it, and all of that topic or subject matter as it relates to the moral concept of sin and sinning. So let me just first say, I unequivocally, my personal experience as a human on the planet for 57 years, I know personally, I've known from the time I was a young child till now, the difference between what's right and what's wrong. I've known, and I can't tell you how I know. I just can tell you that I know, and so that's one thing, to know it, right? I haven't always chosen the right way. I haven't always selected the right way. As a matter of fact, most of the time in my life, particularly in my younger years, I decided to do the opposite. I went overtly out of my way to do things that were wrong for whatever reason. That's just the way it went. Over time, through pain and suffering, and I hope learning and wisdom, I've made more and more of the right decisions. I still make mistakes today. Some of them, you could say, are deciding to not do the right thing. And I should say consciously understanding that I shouldn't be doing something, and I do it anyways. And I pay the price. I pay the price. So I think that's a really important concept. I was just looking at the definition of sin according to whatever this is, some dictionary. After a cursory search on Google, it says, an immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law. And I would say that's true. I mean, I think that's a pretty good definition if you take out the dogma. We could get into a whole discussion about what divine law is, but I think that's a good definition. Second definition, an act regarded as a serious or regrettable fault, offense, or omission. And I would agree with that as well. Another gentleman that I respect a lot, and I reread his book every year, is Coach Wooden. And the Pyramid of Success book is, it's a great book. You should, if you're looking for something that can help you make progress in your life on a consistent basis, and you're looking to establish a habit of, reading and learning principles and then correlating that back to scripture, it's a great book. One of my favorites. But one of the quotes I highlighted in there was, he said, remember, it's not him, it's from James 4:17. It says, remember, it is a sin to know what you ought to do and then not do it. So I'm setting this is a pre-filter for the whole conversation on some of the things I'm experiencing with some of the conversations I've been having with some of the men coming in and considering, well, this has happened a lot over the years with many of the things I've worked on, coaching, building businesses, selling businesses, being around leaders or aspiring leaders, being around companies that are failing and poor leaders. But I see it a lot, just with aging men in particular, where, they're willing to do, willing to go to this, they're willing to go this far, but not that far. And the looping behavioral ineffectiveness of what they do to try and quote unquote become healthy or stay healthy is astounding. It's fascinating, and I like I said, I've gone through all of that too. But to watch the level of delusion that occurs is just fascinating. And by the way, I fully expect that, like, many of you will probably click off, right? Maybe you clicked off a ways back, but this is only for people with the ears to hear what I'm talking about. The rest of you will just continue to do what you're going to do, and there's not much I can do for you, and that's not my job to help you because you're not going to be in a position to do what is required to make the transformation. But for those that have the ears to hear, a lot of times we outsource our health and wellness to the quote unquote professionals. I refer to them as the white coat priesthood, and they really are. They carry a lot of weight and a lot of dogma, and a lot of people. I had a fascinating experience the other day where I was talking to somebody about their health in the presence of a doctor. A doctor was there. Now, he wasn't a doctor in the subject matter we were talking about. I'm talking about, like, he wasn't a specialist in the modality or the type of wealth and health we were talking about, but he had the doctor title. And I was talking to this individual about their situation, and they were basically expressing to me that, they're just doomed to this outcome because of their genetics. And I was explaining to the individual that that's just, only partially minor, like on a minor level, potentially true. Most genetic predispositions, the ones that are hereditary, are laying in your genetic code unactivated. And they require you acting out and living your life in a certain way to flip those switches, to turn it on, so that you then become, you've activated that trait or that potentiality. So, and by the way, that once you've done that, it doesn't mean that it's permanently on. You can actually undo it. You can unhook it. You can flip the switch the other way. It happens all the time. Actually pretty standard if you take certain steps and follow good advice. But this individual didn't want to hear what I had to say about that, and she immediately turned to a doctor, because he had a title, doctor, who knew nothing about the topic, and asked him what he thought about it. And this is the level of programming that we have in this world right now. You have people just blindly following quote unquote subject matter experts that have zero wisdom or direct experience. Matter of fact, most doctors, you look at, are not in great shape. They've got pot bellies. They're alcoholics. They're addicts. I've been around quite a few of them where they get hooked on the drugs from the pharma reps, and the stress of being a doctor is a lot. So they're alcoholic. A lot of them are overweight, obese. They're taking a lot of different pills. It's not somebody I would turn to for advice on a variety of topics. There's certain things that they're probably decent at. I'd have to think about what those are, but and I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying all of them. Okay, I'm just saying the mass majority of them. I'd say 95% of them. It's a very small percentage of the medical professional community that is actually, in the healing mindset, meaning that they took the Hippocratic Oath and are committed to that as an outcome, solving the problem, fixing the human being, restoring them to a state of health and well-being for a higher quality of life. Most of them are far, far from that. They're just not. They're the opposite of that. So, a lot of guys will want to stay stuck. They'll want to consciously, unconsciously perpetuate. They want to go through the motions. They want to act like they're trying to get healthy. And then there's moments when they're in so much pain, or they have, in the middle of the night, when they're alone with themselves, they they come to the awareness that, like, this is all going to end, and that they're on the wrong track, and that they don't feel good, and they don't have the energy. They're not capable of doing some of the things they'd like to do physically. A lot of them sexually have become completely dysfunctional, and they're embarrassed about that. And then the mindset stuff kicks in, and then it just becomes this spiral. And then they're listening to their wife, who, this is why we're a fit old man. We're not, I've had guys come to me in the past and say, well, can my wife? I'm like, and in the beginning I was like, I wanted everybody to feel good. But, over the years I've just realized, and it's become super clear to me, no is the answer. No, before the question even comes up. Men and women are different. And men have a certain set of physiological, biochemical realities that women don't have, and vice versa. And you're not going to merge the two and have an accurate conversation. You're just not. But, men will listen to their wife, who's most of the time overweight and out of shape, and, either pre or, in menopause. And anyways, there's a lot of factors that go with that. And they're taking health advice from her, because they want to reduce the friction. They don't want to create a problem. And by the way, the two primary driving factors of the genders are just completely different. Women's priority is to preserve security at all costs, no matter what, to survive and provide security for the survival of the next generation. And for men, it's power and freedom. And so the two clash. The two are they're at odds. And so a marriage, a covenant, is the ability to come together, respect both of those factors that were given to us by the Father. I believe we were designed that way, and to learn how to work together as a team to support each other and partner with each other, and not try and change each other. And that's hard. But for a man to listen to a woman about diet information, about health advice, about any of that stuff, is, I think, already you're missing the mark. Already you're off track. Just like an older guy taking advice from a 20-something physical trainer it's a mistake. The young individual doesn't have the understanding of what it's like to be a 50-something-year-old man. First of all, second of all, they don't have the wisdom, or they have knowledge. Maybe they just got certified and they know a few, how to design a workout movement program for you, but they don't have the insight. They don't have the wisdom. They don't have the direct experience of trying things out, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and the variety of experiences that are associated with that. So it's really tough. It's a tough situation to be in, that kind of like you're out on a limb. Maybe you've gone to your medical professional and you're taking advice from them, which, by the way, they're not, most doctors, like I said, are not in a position to give any nutritional lifestyle advice, because they don't know it themselves. So anything they would say would just be basically garbage or propaganda. That's a fact. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. The second thing is that they're incentivized to direct you along certain lines, and a lot of that has to do with the cut, burn, medicate, radiate allopathic approach to medicine, which is to treat everything as a mechanism, as a material item in the world that can be worked on like a car. which is true. I mean, when you break an arm or a leg, you do need a doctor for that, but then that it's helpful there. But when it comes to healing somebody overall, you have to think about the whole entire situation of the entity itself, including the spiritual dimension, which not a lot of people talk about, but healing has a lot to do with access to spiritual connection and your faith, your ability to work through difficult, challenging experiences as your body knows what to do and works its way back to a state of health and well-being. So, anyways, you're out on this limb, and you're listening. You got the dogma of the doctor. You've probably got the wife in your ear, giving you a few things that she read about and thinks are a good idea for you, which most of the time are not. I won't get into vegetarianism, and I won't get into veganism in particular. Horrible for men, horrible, and happy to have an expanded conversation with anybody about that any day of the week. I know from direct experience that it's not something that works very well for men. All that aside, you're kind of out on a limb, so where do you go from there? Well, most men go to die. They mostly just go to slow, feminized, low energy, non-combative, neutered, slow walk death while they pay for it. They actually financially pay for it. It can go faster, if you get sick, with cancer, or if you have a heart attack or a stroke, or you're dying suddenly. Everybody makes that out to be such a big deal. It's traumatic, and it is traumatic. It's a sudden, shift of energy from the physical to the non-physical, but it's actually probably the best way to go. You don't want to go through it. I've seen a lot of people go through where they just bleed you out, and not only you, your family. It's like a vacuum, So, what do you do? What's a guy to do? Not an easy question to answer, and you know what you need to do. Absolutely know what you need to do. And the fact that you're not doing it is making everything worse. Just, it's actually exacerbating the situation. It's causing additional inflammation of the brain and your spirit. So, is it frightening to change things? Absolutely. Does it mean you're going to have to let go of a lot of your addictions? Yeah, it does mean that. Yes, not going to lie to you. Does it mean you're going to have to do some things that you haven't done in a long time, and maybe you have some negative head space about? Yeah, absolutely. And it's our duty. It's our spiritual divine duty to, my opinion, to grow into everything we can grow into being in this life. And will we ever entirely get there in this life? I don't think I will. I don't know about you, but so it's not easy, but it is our duty, particularly now with everything. It's always a tough time for humans, always, every generation. But it's moving a lot faster now, and this time, if we don't, try to work towards the right thing and work towards the right thing, humanity, could be gone altogether. And I also understand too that if it goes that way, then well, shame on us, right? We're right now in a situation where we have the tools and the runway and the ability to do things that could move us in the right direction. So that's my little dissertation on, doing the right thing and being responsible for this physical vessel that was gifted to you by the Father for this journey, and to have enough faith in the process of stepping forward into something that's new and better. I can tell you there's change, but my life is so much better than it was when I first said yes to that group back in 2013, the first time I went through something like this. And it's continued to get better. It's not been it's not been all green lights and blue skies for sure, but overall, I wouldn't, the experience of the becoming of the fit old man. I looked at the actual logo the other day. That logo was designed by, the original logo was designed by some artist on Fiverr, I think, which is a third-party service you can do, and I've had a couple people make revisions to it. I really like the logo now, the way it looks. But when you look at it, when I look at it sometimes, I'm more and more becoming that avatar. I'm more and more becoming the archetype, and I embody the physical and emotional and spiritual vision for what I had for that thing back in the beginning. And I hope that interests you. I hope you find enough reasons to say yes, and to stop kidding yourself about what'll happen if you just keep doing what you're doing. If you just keep doing what you're doing, and you're not happy, you're dying just like everybody else. But it's the quality of life, right? It's the quality of the death. So, anyways, hope that's helpful. We're working on filling this next cohort. Start January 26th. Join us. Things will get much better if you do. Have a blessed day. Thanks for watching.